Alright, dear viewers, it's time to do a non-metal underground trio episode. Why so? Well, I'll be fully honest with you. This is mere coincidence. Usually when I go picking the next 3 albums for any given underground trio episode, I'll just take whatever I have up in the queue on my piles for whatever reason. Now it was just coincidence that none of these are listed on Metal Archives, even if they all have more or less they are related, obviously, to metal music. If not for else reason, nothing else reason is the fact that these are coming from more or less people making metal or by metal labels and beyond that. Now, first I'll introduce them quickly in alphabetical order and then I'll go listing them in worst to best according to my own opinion. As always, feel free to disagree. I don't really care. What matters is that I hope you will find at least some of these takes useful. So let's give these a go. And when I say, by the way, non-metallic, doesn't mean that they don't have metallic elements within. They're just not listed on Metal Archives. So, first we'll go to Sweden. This is Dimbild Dunkelglöd. And this is, technically speaking, acoustic music. You know, the clean vocals, acoustic guitar, and all that stuff. Then we have a debut album from Finnish band Ruuhi. And I'm not gonna forget to mention, I am biased because this one actually features my fellow band member. This is his other band, whereas in my band, Nightside, he plays keyboards, well, a little bit guitars and all that stuff, clean vocals as well. This is where he plays guitar and does vocals. Then we have another project of another friend of mine. He is with his own name, Tomy Laisto. And this is his, I think, debut album, Penumbra. And the thing here is, he's mostly known for his work in death metal and progressive metal. And nowadays, for example, plays in Insomnium live, and mostly known for his work with Hateform and some other bands from Finland. This is his solo venture, and it's not metal at all. So, let's go from worst to best according to my own opinion, biased or not. First we'll go to Sweden with Dimbild and Dunkelglöd. This is Swedish sung music, folk music. To be honest, because this is a Hammerheart Records release, I was expecting some kind of, I don't know, black metal or pagan metal. Very much metal nonetheless, with the kind of a cover image and packaging, name, what have you. But no, this is just purely acoustic music. And acoustic in the sense of, delivering us folk tunes. Meaning you will hear some beautiful tunes and nice Swedish singing. And as you can see, lyrics are in Swedish. And this is very, very much a dividing thing here. If you like acoustic guitar music, if you like folk music, you're probably exactly the core audience for this. Now, if, however, these kind of tracks make you allergic, even when you're listening to some kind of black metal releases and whatnot, featuring some of these ideas, don't go even near. This is basically, for you metalheads out there, basically like an album, like if you're taking the Ulver Bergdat album, and when you take the folkiest part right there, the clean vocals and the acoustic guitars and non-metallic parts in general, and you would make that as a full album. This is basically what you're expecting to get. So for people who are very much like, okay, you put up on the fire, it's nice sunset, maybe you have some, I don't know, coffee, maybe even a drink. There, you're having romantic visions staring at the islands or the forest line, the tree line, whatever, and you're like, I don't know, having romantic thoughts of your spouse and all that stuff. You get emotional, and then you want to put some nice music. Not anything the aggressive stuff, not the negative stuff, but something beautiful. This is the kind of stuff you're looking for. However, if you're looking for something aggressive or, brutal, heavy, or overly beautiful like pop music, this is not gonna do the trick for you. I'm gonna say it out loud. Basically, with this given genre or sub-genre of this acoustic folk music, this is one trick pony. Once you've heard one song, you pretty much know rest of the songs. It is much like certain metal albums. You hear one song and you're like, okay, this is just the melodic black metal all the way through, or brutal death metal. I mean, you could really compare it to Cannibal Corpse, or I don't know, say Emperor, early Emperor. You know one song and you're like, okay, this is symphonic black metal, dark tunes, melodic, fast bass, blah blah blah, very Nordic kind of a black metal. And the rest of the thing is, you get what you're expecting to. This is the same thing but with folk music. 1, 2 songs and you're done. For me, it's a little bit let down because it's in fact too repetitive for my taste. But that doesn't mean that those who are more into this kind of stuff might like it even more. For me, and I do have some kind of a folk music background, especially back in the 90s, early 2000s when I was a little bit exploring the stuff, I wanted more variation, more diversity in the sense like if you have folk music, go fun with it. You can have darker tunes, you can have happier tunes, you can have drinking tunes and the morning tunes and all that stuff. But if you're just going to do it one mold only, it can get a little bit repetitive and as such boring. But I'm not going to say it's not for you to check it out. I'm just saying what it is and what's not. So for me, a little bit of a letdown, but for core orienteds only. Then the middle of the pile, we get Tomy Laisto's Penumbra album. Over 50 minutes of music or something around like that. Maybe I remember incorrectly, maybe it was a little bit less, but around 50, let's put it this way. And a few songs and very simplistic, basic, bare-boned digipack release, meaning no booklet, just a list of session members, which are quite few, and some names are even quite known. Then the basic information right here, all musical lyrics, Tomy Laisto, where it was recorded, blah blah blah. Now as you can see, this is very simplistic and you all get it, the atmospheric thing. You could really imagine this to be a veteran black metal thing, but knowing Tomy Laisto, you would know that he is a man of more progressive, melodic, and not so brutal death metal stuff. Mostly he's known for his work with Hateform, a band that has been inactive for 10 years or so right now. But he had that band for 10 years with his other members, and before that he had Morbid Dream. And then there are other bands like more Principium Est and whatever, Pain Confessor, where he has taken part. But Hateform, I guess, is the band he's mostly known for. Now, this is his solo project where he sings, writes the music, and just basically everything except for the session parts. And this is him exploring the world through blues stuffs, lounge music, acoustic guitar, clean singing. It's almost like you take those grunge songs unplugged back in the 90s when it happened. It's actually very, very nice to kind of, I could imagine, very therapeutical experience. Like you just grab your acoustic guitars and clean your lungs with clean singing and sing about your, I don't know, sad parts, happy parts, changes in your life and all that stuff. It's almost like a very, very personal journey, a diary, if you will, turned into a music. And this music can you take into different places. Some are a little bit moodier, some are more uplifting, like, you know, the kind of lounge bar stuff at some fancy hotel. And you would see these troubadour playing songs, the kind of a bard music, if you will. The downside is, if you're expecting to really kind of understand and go through these emotions and different parts, you probably need to know the story, including the lyrics, which are not included. So that is a little bit short in that sense. But I'm not going to complain. I think what he has done is beautiful, but I think it's also more for himself in the classical sense of, you know, artists making music for themselves rather than the audience. So like I said, this is more like a love letter to blues, rock and roll, mind you, not distorted guitars, classic rock and roll, and beyond that. And as such, it's probably like a therapeutical offsetting thing versus the more metallic things where you get like progressive guitar chords and you're like, okay, this is getting technical, or then you get overly melodic and heavy and all that shit. This is where you get lighthearted. You just cleanse your body and mind with a different take of music. Like I said, to me it feels like a love letter to that music that goes beyond metal, but also a therapeutic project which you kind of embark in order to, you know, really balance things out. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just a vibe I'm getting. For people who want to explore and understand what metal musicians can do outside metal, this is a very good journey. And especially if you're a fan of the given artist. But apart from that, it's a little bit tough cookie to crack because it kind of expects you to be in the very, very same wavelength, the frequency he's tuning to, you know, with the music that is kind of like blues, rock and roll, lounge music. I don't even have the words for all the subgenres right there. It's a challenging one, but it can be a little bit rewarding one. Kind of a balancing thing really between the dark, heavy, brutal music and all. Which leads us, in my opinion, the best of the pile, Ruuhi. And this one is the debut album by the band, featuring beautiful cover. Unfortunately, the packaging is quite simplistic. It's a CDR release, very, very simple digipack. No booklet with this one, just a little bit lyrics here, and then the track listing, and then this beautiful art, which is really fitting for this kind of music. Now, what you're expecting metal, it's very, very much present here, but calling it outright metal all the way can be a little bit, not misleading, but you might be ending the unexpected. I'm going to explain it like this. Take doom metal, take epic doom, marry that to primordial, add folk elements, and then remove half the primordial elements there. Even 1/3 of the doom metal things, and then you have it. So it's more almost like you take some ingredients, put them in a frying pan. Then you remove some of the content, some of the ingredients, because they're only there to season the whole thing, not meant for eating. Does it make sense? If not, sorry. I've been cooking lately some food which is kind of like that. My point here is, this does have a lot of elements from doom metal, but calling it outright doom is a little bit far-fetched. But add a lot of folkier stuff and a little bit of that epic stuff coming from Primordial, the Irish band, mind you. And then you have something that you might like, okay, now it starts making sense, you know. So, not the kind of a typical doom in the sense where you might be thinking of when we're talking about epic doom. This doesn't sound like, you know, Candlemass or Sorcerer for that matter. There is not the sense of epic Swedishness in the music, but it's kind of a seeping through, and it's a more experimental version of all that stuff. So that's why it's hard to explain this all, because it sounds quite unique, really, but then you also have these familiar elements, you know, like I said, a little bit doom, a little bit folk, a little bit primordial, which I wouldn't call doom nor pure black metal, but you get the idea. And all these, and then something which I really can't put my finger on it, and you have the mix right there. Now this is the debut album, so maybe it has a little bit demo-ish output in that sense. Not so much like, I mean, the vocalist is good, or the vocalists are good, and the production can't really bitch about it, but you also recognize it's not one of those big label bands having magnificent budget and, you know, all that stuff. So maybe it's a little bit demo-ish, like, let's take the first step and let's get it done with, and then focus on the second album, which I was told is in the making after this one already. So while this is a self-financed release, it can be a little bit of a hybrid between a typical debut album and a demo. Take it as you will. But yeah, it's pretty interesting and wild combination, and I think wild is exactly describing it, because it is an interesting take on music which sounds familiar and at the same time kind of adventurous. So, 3 different weird, but non-metallic in the classical sense. Dimbild from Sweden, folk music, Tomy Laisto's lounge, blues, rock and roll, and epic doom meeting folk parts and all that stuff. Links are included in the description box. Give them a go or give it not. It's up to you. And of course, I hope you find some of these likable. So off you go. Check out the music and let me know what you think if you have the time. See you soon. Bye bye.